If you would all take your seat, we're going to get started. We have a very exciting program planned for you this evening. I'd like to welcome you to the Dothan Business Hall of Fame 9th Annual Banquet and Induction Ceremony. Thank you for joining with us. My name is Mary Beth Maddox, and I'm the immediate past chair for the Dothan Area Chamber of Commerce and will serve as your mistress of ceremonies for tonight's activities. At this time, I would like to ask Reverend Rusty Milton from First Presbyterian Church to please come forward and deliver our invocation.
Good evening. If you would, just pray with me. Heavenly Father, we come in the name of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, and we thank you that you are our rock, and we thank you that you did not leave us rudderless in this world and tossed by storms in this life, but have graciously given us in your word and in the witness and the life of your Son, Jesus Christ, all things that we need. And so, Father, we're just overjoyed with that. Lord, and now as we have this time to celebrate this evening, we thank you that you put in each of us gifts, talents, strengths to work and honor you. You are a God who works, Lord, and we see that in the very beginning in the garden. Lord, and your labor transforms culture. You provide for people. You bring beauty out of ashes. And we thank you that you do that through the lives of people and have done that in our community so well. Father, tonight we are thankful for Mr. Clark, Mr. West, and Dr. Heersink and their labor in our community for so many years. Lord, they have been a blessing, and we are truly thankful for them. Bless this food that we're going to have tonight and our fellowship, and we pray all this in the name of our Savior, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Thank you, Reverend Milton. At this time, if you'll just please enjoy your dinner, and we'll be back in about 20-25 minutes to begin the official program. To recognize our past Hall of Fame laureates. So if you would please turn your attention, we're going to play the video. are certainly blessed with an outstanding Business Hall of Fame family, and tonight we have a very exciting evening planned. The Dothan Business Hall of Fame was established in May 2011 by the Dothan Area Chamber of Commerce and the Dothan Area Young Professionals. The Hall of Fame's mission is to pay recognition to local business leaders who've made an impact on the community by promoting the free enterprise system of entrepreneurship. To honor those individuals who have spent a lifetime of demonstrating civic leadership, philanthropy, and humanitarianism toward their fellow citizens. The Hall of Fame plaques honoring the laureates who are located in a prominent location at the Dothan Area Chamber, where it may be seen by chamber members, prospective members, industrial prospects, visitors, and the general public. This year's group will be added to the wall soon, and we invite you to go by the chamber and view the wall. At this time, I'd like to ask Walt Ellis, Chairman of the Dothan Area Young Professionals, to join me at the podium.
Good evening, welcome. I'm Walt Ellis, Chairman of the Dothan Area Young Professionals, and we are honored to have been asked to partner with the Chamber for this Business Hall of Fame recognition program. With a mission to enrich our community by uniting and developing young professionals, the Dothan Area Young Professionals feel that being a part of this program not only enhances our objective, but it also gives us the opportunity to further participate in philanthropic activities. Thank you.
We are now going to move to the reason why we are all here, and it's probably not to hear me or Walt, but that is to honor our three outstanding business leaders. Our first laureate is A.B. Clark, founder of DSI Security Services. Would you please cue the video?
In 1926, A.B. Clark came into this world, the son of Buford and Ella Clark. Born in the small town of Newton, Alabama, Mr. Clark didn't go far to find success. He moved to Dothan and ran a lumber business and also farmed. Most would have been content as a successful businessman, but not A.B. Clark. Despite having no law enforcement experience, he decided to run for Houston County Sheriff in 1966. He won and served 4 terms. A farmer, businessman, and sheriff of Southeast Alabama's largest county? Surely that would be enough success to satisfy Mr. Clark, but no. When the company that constructed Farley Nuclear Plant realized the need for security, they turned to A.B. Clark. And that led to DSI Security. It has grown to 4,000 employees in 24 states and become the 14th largest security firm in the nation. Sheriff A.B. Clark personally ran that company until his death in 1988. His son Alan is now chairman of the board, Alan's wife Marty, president, and their sons Boyd and Devers also hold corporate positions at DSI Security. Tonight we honor A.B. Clark for his business prowess, but would be remiss not to mention his civic and charitable spirit. He helped found the Alabama Sheriff's Boys and Girls Ranches. He also founded the Houston County Junior Deputy Program. That program gave children from 7 to 17 the chance to work directly with law enforcement, and because of that program, some of those children pursued a law enforcement career. A great man who may not have achieved his level of success had it not been for his wife, Renelle, a woman that stood behind Sheriff Clark and gave him 4 wonderful children. The family is now 15 grandchildren and 32 great-grandchildren strong. A.B. Clark lived by the mantra, do what you say you'll do. We suspect his initials A.B. may have stood for Always Best. And tonight he joins the best of the best in the Dothan Business Hall of Fame.
My favorite memory of my dad is just growing up and him just loving us and being with us and working with us. You know, a lot of work. You know, Daddy's passion was just work. I mean, there was not a lot of free time out throwing the ball, but it was out working with him and doing things. And I guess one of my favorite memories is I surprised him one Christmas and got him a practical Christmas gift. we had a fair to finish hog operation, and we needed a feeder. And I went on my own and bought this thing and put it together and put it on the back of a truck. And I backed up to the back door. He woke up the next morning. You know, normally they surprise you. And I surprised him this big old feeder, and he was so tickled. It was I remember laughing about it. I mean, there was lots of it. I don't know why it just came to my mind, but I remember him just a gut laugh and he and I laughing about that. I surprised him. It's something I'd never been able to really do before, hard to do with him. And he just thought I was the funniest thing in the world. I don't know, that's a good memory I have of my dad. Dad was, at that time, I look back at it, so I was born in the late 50s, okay? The late 50s, and Dad became sheriff in 1966. Well, when I was born, my dad was a logger, he was a putt water, he was a farmer, he owned a small engine repair shop, so this thing was busy, and then suddenly, he decided to run for sheriff, and I was just a young guy, and I remember I didn't know why. I remember seeing Andy Griffith, and I thought the sheriff was on that. I thought, well, that's pretty neat. I'd be like Opie, running around. So I don't never remember him telling me why he decided to do that. He just saw it and wanted to take the challenge. I mean, that's one thing about Dad, and he taught us is to take challenges and don't fear failure. You know, just go for it. If you want to do it, just do it. And he really did that. And, I never really asked him why he did it. He just wanted to do it, and I thought he did a great job. As he became sheriff, the logging operation got smaller, but the farming operation got bigger, and that was what's so incredible about Dad. I mean, whenever y'all told me about this, I started thinking about Dad and, on the business side of Dad. Dad had so many facets, but I was thinking, well, this is more business. What was Dad's business side? When I thought about that, I really thought about Auburn Creed, the first few lines of Auburn Creed. Now, Alan and his family ain't gonna like this very much. They don't like this. But it really does epitomize Dad. And the first line is, I believe this is a practical world, and I can only count on what I earn. Therefore, I believe in work, hard work. I'll never forget at his funeral, to be honest with you, when he died in 1988. We had just a long receiving line at his wake. And of all the people that came through, who I remember the most is a man and his wife. The man had overalls on, and the wife was not dressed in a way normally people were dressed to come to a wake on a Sunday night. And he said, "Sir, I want to apologize for how I'm dressed, but your dad, he helped me out when I needed some help, and I just had to come pay my respects to your dad." Well, see, that was Dad. He never turned away from the telephone. If people called him 24/7, he answered the phone, and he dealt with it. And so he didn't care who you were. Ooh, my dad was a big man, and he had a big personality. He really did. He was tough. I mean, be honest with you, there was not a lot of play in there a lot of times, but yet he loved people. He didn't care who you were or what you were, socioeconomic status or whatever. He was going to take time for people, even though he was busy doing things. But he just loved to laugh. He loved to get things done. But yet he loved people. That's one thing I like about my dad.
Accepting on behalf of his father tonight is Alan Clark.
About 2 weeks ago, or 3 weeks ago, we were at the Wallace College Foundation gala one night, and Marnix and I met at I think it's a bar, Marnix. We were getting a drink together, what it was. And Marnix said, "Alan, you started your speech yet?" I said, I think we'll just ad-lib it. I'm not going to have everything written down. I'm going to ad-lib everything. And that's what I did, Marnix. He did tell me a while ago, he said, "Alan, I did the same thing. I got a few notes," but anyway. Tonight, me, my brother Ken, my two sisters Sheila, Jan, and our spouses, plus 11 grandchildren, 32 great-grandchildren, of A.B. Clark. I want to thank the Dothan Area Chamber of Commerce and the Young Professional Group for selecting our father, A.B. Clark, to be inducted into the 2019 class of the Dothan Business Hall of Fame. You all saw earlier distinguished men and women up there who I've known most of my life and love, and they're just inspiration for Dothan, who we are today, those people. Over the years, I've wondered where I'd be today if Daddy had not been such a hardworking, risk-taking guy. I think we all may think that sometimes, you know, where we are. Sebastian, you probably think, where would I be today if Dad hadn't done what he did, you know? But, you know, I do it all the time. I'm getting to the age now, I really think a lot about, you know, older times. But, and actually, King Curtis, I think he must have got my notes, because everything I was going to say tonight, King Curtis kind of did it. So y'all had to hear it twice. But like he said earlier, 1966, at the age of 40, and I was in the 5th grade, Daddy ran for sheriff. He'd never been in law enforcement. He'd never been a police officer. He'd never been a state trooper, a sheriff. He'd never been in law enforcement. I don't know. All I remember is when Mother told us that Daddy was running for sheriff, and I'll never forget long to live. I was at the corner of Selma Street and Alice, right by the Doug 2 baseball fields, and we all of us were in the car, and we all started crying. I don't know why we cried, but we all just cried, you know. Daddy won that election against the incumbent by 14 votes. That just goes to show you that every vote counts. You know, I guess it does count, 14 votes. Daddy is the only sheriff to this day still that won 4 elections, 4 consecutive terms for sheriff. To this day, that record hasn't been broken. He also, at the time, was the first sheriff, my understanding, to ever have children. He was the first sheriff in Houston County to ever have children, which I thought was kind of unique. Since then, that has changed. In 1969, 50 years ago today, 50 years ago this year, DSI was formed. A guy named Red Walker, the sheriff of Shelby County, Alabama, Ryan, was a good friend of Daddy Mother's and the family. He called Daddy and asked, I don't know what the whole the gamut was, but asked Daddy if he'd meet with him, with a guy with Daniel Construction Company that were building the Farley nuclear plant in Gordon. He did. They asked Daddy to kind of put together a security team to perform security for the perimeter of the construction, and that's where DSI Security Services started 50 years ago this year. DSI today is the 14th largest security company in the United States. We operate in 25 states, not 24. Kenny got it wrong. We have offices in New York, California, but our corporate office still is in Dothan, Alabama. What's really funny is our first office, when I got out of college in 1977, was my bedroom in a rental house before I got married. And I had one room, my friend Mark II had the other, and I had my office, my bed and my office in that room, which I did not like. I don't know where I'd be today if Daddy hadn't taken that risk to start DSI. I don't have a clue. I know one thing for sure. Boyd, Devers, Mary Neal, and Marty are glad he did. You know. Our motto of DSI is DWYSYWD. Again, DWYSYWD. Do what you say you would do. Very simple approach. It's on all our cars, on our logo, on our letterhead. It's very, very important to us. It kind of ties into Daddy's philosophy, a simple approach. If you're going to tell somebody, you're going to do something, you need to do it. I'll tell a couple of stories I can. About Amanda said you only got 7 minutes to a T, so after 7 minutes, I know they'll knock me off the stage. About 17 years ago, our director of marketing and sales out of Birmingham at the time called me and said, we got an appointment in Arkansas with Tyson Foods, which is today still the largest protein food supplier in the world. So we flew out to Arkansas. Me and him, it was snowing that day, but we met, me and him and 3 of the top security people for Tyson Foods. And they told us you got 30 minutes, all you got, the presentation, 30 minutes. We ate breakfast, we ate lunch, we ate dinner at that restaurant. 8 hours we stayed there. And Joe Robinson's his name. He said, Alan, he stood up, he's a big old man. He's a big old fella. He said, Alan, he pointed, he said, if you'll do what you say you're going to do, we'll grow, you can grow with us. I think a month later, they gave us like 47 plants all over the country. We were not even close to being in California at the time, but we had one in Washington State, and that was really out of our market. But anyway, to me, it was a very kind of a beginning of our expansion, really. They really expanded us out, and from that, we kind of have grown from there. But every Monday morning, we have a meeting. We have a conference call. All our people call in. It's about an hour and a half meeting. And every morning, my time comes, I say good morning, and I say DWI, SYWD, do what you say you would do. 2 or 3 years ago, I was in Savannah at our office over there, and we had lunch. I took my office manager and his wife to dinner one night. He went to the bathroom or somewhere, and his wife said, Alan, Chuck said, want to know if you were sick. I said, no, I'm fine. He said, why? He said, yeah, Monday morning, you didn't stay DWI, SYWD. So that point on, I realized how important it really was to stay our motto. So every morning, I don't think since that day I missed DWI, SYWD. In 1977, my senior year in Alabama, Steve Klaus and I were our state representatives, some of our representatives, and I were fraternity brothers and good friends. And we were going to, frozen yogurt got real big at the time, and we were going to talking about putting a yogurt shop in Dothan. And I'll be honest, I had no money then. I don't have any money now. But I thought I needed to talk to Mother and Daddy about this. So I came home that weekend on Friday night, and Mother didn't know at the time. Mother had gone out of town. And I got home, Daddy was in bed. He was laying there, and I got there, and like Ken said earlier, Daddy was not we worked together farming, but Daddy wasn't a guy that really, he wasn't with us he wasn't. He was all business most of the time. I sat on that bed that night, and I was telling him about our plans, what we wanted to do. And he stopped me and listened to me. He told me about his life. He said when he was 19 years old, working 2 jobs, he was trying to buy 100 acres of land in Newton, which today I know Scott Clark, my cousin, owns today. But the bank, being 19 years old, said, you can't, we won't give you the money. Get your daddy to co-sign with you. For some reason, Granddaddy could not co-sign with him, so Daddy was not able to get that land at that time. He eventually bought it, but at that time he couldn't. But I learned something very interesting from that conversation. I realized then why Daddy had always been so supportive of me, always. I think Ken can say that. Everything we wanted to do, Daddy was there for us. And that means a lot to me today, and I hope I do the same thing to my kids, and I hope I do. But that was and I think that's why he was so supportive, because he knows how important it is. In closing, I want to say this. When Marty and I were dating years ago, we married at 41, so we were in Alabama, and I'll never forget, she was a Laurel, Mississippi girl. And a lot of my good friends were Sigma News in Alabama. And she came here in Dothan, and this is a true story. Marty, and all my friends wanted to come back to Dothan, which I surely did too. They didn't all come back, but they wanted to come back. And Marty always said, what is this about everybody wants to go home, which is very unusual. But they did. Dothan has no rivers running through it. We have no lush mountains or ocean out our back door or our window. We do have the most beautiful beaches in the world 90 miles away. But we have good, hardworking risk takers that make us who we are. It's a privilege for my family tonight to be nominated with the West family and the Hearsink family. Tom West, let me say this, Tom West, Martin Dennis, and Charles Bunning, that's his sidekicks. Never have I ever gone to these guys and asked a question about real estate. Mark, you've helped us many times on things, and I had no idea about real estate. And that's what kind of people they are. The Hearsinks were our neighbors years ago, finest people you ever meet in your life. When the Clark family bought the Coca-Cola bottling plant here 2 years ago, the first person I got a note from, Marty's Hearsink. He said, Alan, I want to tell you, I appreciate what you're doing for Dothan. I got kids who want to be here, So that's the kind of people we are. That's the kind of people who make Dothan, Alabama what it is today. It's an honor to accept this honor on behalf of my daddy. Oh, I'm going to cry. I swear I wasn't. Thank you.
Thank you, Alan. I have a confession to make. I learned something sitting there listening to you talk about how DSI came to fruition. I don't know if this is related, but my daddy went to work at Daniels Construction about the time it turns out that your daddy got the call that they needed some security. I hope there's not a connection there. But seriously, our next laureate is Dr. Marnix Heersink, founder of iCenter South. Please play the video.
Dr. Marnix Heersink's road to Dothan covered several years and several thousand miles. Born in the Netherlands in 1948, he moved to Canada, then on to Philadelphia, where he completed his residency in cataract surgery and spent another year of fellowship training. When he married Mary in 1978, the couple headed south to Alabama. Even cataract surgery could not have given Dr. Heersink the vision of what his once small office would become. Over the past 40 years, iCenter South has emerged as the region's largest multi-specialty eye care practice and surgery center. A new 200,000 square foot state-of-the-art facility is a medical care showplace. Dr. Marnix Heersink is a member of many medical associations and a fellow of the American College of Surgeons. Besides achieving business success, every member of this Hall of Fame has also given back to the community. Dr. Heersink and his family routinely provide cataract surgery to those who can't afford to pay for the procedure. It is the Gift of Life initiative. Dr. Heersink served on the Boy Scouts of America Advisory Committee and has coached city sports teams. He has also served on the foundation board of the Alabama Institute for the Deaf and Blind. He's a Boys Club of Dothan board member and also serves on the executive committee of First Methodist Church. The Heersink Family Charitable Foundation has endowed scholarships for Wallace Community College's Health Sciences Center, UAB School of Medicine, UAB School of Optometry, Wills Eye Hospital in Philadelphia, and the Netherlands American Foundation, among others. It also supports a national organization co-founded by Mary Heersink named Stop Foodborne Illness in the United States, as well as historical renovation projects in the Netherlands. All 6 of the Heersink's children are pursuing medical careers, and 2 of them are ophthalmologists. Dr. Marnix Heersink. It's easy to see why he's a 2019 inductee into the Business Hall of Fame.
His incredible drive, it's an unconventional drive to make things better. At times this has expressed itself in a perplexing, maybe even annoying way to people who love him and who live with him. So when presented with a situation or a system or a machine, there is never anything that's good enough. He is driven to make improvements, to tweaking it. And a small example of this was many times I would have to talk some auto mechanic into moving this driver's seat back on the auto frame 2-3 inches further back. I mean, who does that kind of thing? But for Marnix, there's always room for opportunity, always opportunity for improvements, and I think that has distinguished him across his life. He's a very innovative person. Some of the innovations that he has brought to our area are setting up the first eye tissue bank, setting up subspecialized care where You know that when you have a problem with glaucoma or a retinal problem, you're going to see somebody who is subspecialized and takes many extra months and years, perhaps, of training in that particular field. He has set up a wonderful referral network whereby, for instance, once a year, more than 100 referring eye care specialists come to town for a continuing educational seminar. When we first moved here, he introduced a radical new surgical technique, which meant much more comfortable and successful surgeries for his patients, less invasive. So he has always applied this innovative spirit to whatever he brings within his field. We first moved to town 40 years ago, very naive and ready to jump into this embracing and welcoming town. We were looking for a home, and we were looking at night, and we drove by a property, an old house, abandoned house in the Garden District, and without going inside and without even seeing it in daylight, we chose to make an offer on the house, bought the house from a distance subsequently. That's a very risky, naive thing to do, but it turned out beautifully, and we were able to raise our first 4 children there for 14 years. So I think, again, that goes back to that risk-taking, that sense of confidence, making a good analysis, also from an emotional point of view. So I don't know any other people who would do such. He comes more from a family of farmers, going back generations in the Netherlands. But he had a brother who entered medicine, and that sort of blazed a trail for Marnix to enter. And then when he was starting his studies, he loved, and throughout his career, he loves the one-on-one interaction with the patients on a clinical level, that care on personal level of making a profound difference in a patient's life. I think that's what has driven him and made part of his great success, is that the patient has always been central. I'm so proud of him, and thank you for taking such good care of our family and your patients, and now our community.
I'd like to welcome Dr. Marnix Heersinks to the stage.
Alan, I want you to know I have notes. Well, Madam Chair, Mr. Chairman, fellow honorees, the Clark and West families, fellow members of the Chamber of Commerce, family, friends, and guests, excuse me, thank you so very much. To be standing here following in the footsteps of previously honored community leaders and award winners is a special privilege. When I first learned I was the recipient of the award, and finally I got over the shock, I wanted to learn more about the past history of the award and the people that were actually the award winners. So it took some time. I went to the Chamber of Commerce, the beautiful building, and I went inside just by myself, and I walked around and looked at the portraits, the etchings, and the stories of the people that are the heroes for this community. And then I quickly realized, you know, I know a lot of those people. I've met a lot of them. I've been fortunate enough to have to be able to interact with most of them, and so I'm very humbled to be included in this stellar group. I owe a great deal of debt to the previous award winners because among them, so sorry, allergy, because among them are friends, advisors, and inspirational people, including the special opportunity of having watched and seen how Dr. Paul Flowers led his life and how he advanced his medical career as well as the business side of his life. I remember very distinctly, as Dr. Flowers was getting up in age, him coming to see me one day. And he said, I'd like to come and see you. And he came. He came and sat in my office. And we sat down together, and he surprised me and said, you know, I just want to tell you that I'm so glad you and Mary came to Dothan. I want to thank you for coming to Dothan. And of course, I was surprised, but extremely, extremely impressed and so thankful for that. So then he said to me, with a twinkle in his eye, as he's leaving, and so, doctor, just to show you I meant what I said when I said thank you, come on over to the house after work tonight and I'll pour you a double scotch. 41 years ago, as a newly graduated doctor and with my recent beautiful bride, we nervously and excitedly arrived from Philadelphia to Dothan. We were instantly warmly welcomed and felt right at home. Admittedly, as we settled in, we did have to get used to some things such as Roll Tide and War Eagle and the wonderful traditions of boiled peanuts and tasty warm pecan pie. When we arrived in 1978, Dothan was already a growing, thriving, well-balanced city of 38,000 people with a very strong economy led by agriculture, industry, and healthcare. Since then, it has continued to flourish and grow under the excellent leadership of our political leaders and the many initiatives of the Chamber of Commerce. As for me, first and foremost, I'm a physician. I'm an ophthalmologist, and I love being a doctor who treats patients and does surgery. But I've also enjoyed doing many other things. I've been privileged to have a very wonderful, supportive family, and I've tried to combine business, family, work, hobbies, and life, and to intertwine them. Healthcare, I know, and we all know, I think, is a team sport. And the team sport that we have in our office, it requires all of us to work together to make it so it's better for patients. And I'm so thankful for everybody at Eye Center South to do the things they do so that we can provide better care for patients. As a physician and as a businessman, I've also learned that some of the best ideas that I thought were brilliant were the exact opposite. For example, after having been in practice for about 5 years, someone came to me and said there was a really good opportunity, a business opportunity, to develop a new suburb in the city of Dothan called Landview Heights. I was intrigued. I had to weigh it very carefully because I was trying to be careful with my new hard-earned dollars. So I found a financial planner and a business advisor who coincidentally worked in my office and was our janitor. So you know where this is going to end, right? Several years later, thousands of lost dollars, and with a great deal of stress, I learned my lesson. But I'd learned and remembered from my dad that when he did something that didn't work out, well, he just said, you just get up, you dust yourself off, and you try to do something different until you get it right. And thank goodness, and perhaps most importantly, I have a wonderful wife who can tell me without using any words, just by looking at me and raising her left eyebrow 1/4 inch, that my silly idea is really that, a silly idea. I've had a privileged life, a rewarded life, because of the opportunity to live in a community that encourages hard work, family life, community spirit, well-grounded values, and provides opportunities. Mary and I are especially proud that our children, Bain and Sebastian, and their families have come to Dothan, and we hope that others will follow. Over the last few years, as I age, I've enjoyed becoming more involved in education and philanthropy. We are forming wonderful educational partnerships with Wallace Community College, Troy University, Alabama College of Osteopathic Medicine, and the University of Alabama. And we are dedicating space in our new Health Center South building to patient care, research, clinical trials, and education. And that gives me great satisfaction. In summary, I've been given so much in my life, and all of this I owe to my parents for their instilling a work ethic and value system that I treasure. My family and the city of Dothan and its citizens, I'm very humbled by and appreciative of this award, and hope to be able to do much more to make the lives of others better. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir. Our final inductee tonight is Tom West, founder of the Tom West Company. Please play his video.
In 1939, Tom A. West III came into this world, the son of proud parents Albert and Jeanette West of Dothan. We have it on good authority that before Tom could even crawl, he learned how to properly hang a for sale sign. Sell he has. Tom West Company is among the most recognizable real estate firms in Alabama, a $1 million producer for years. His company consistently ranks in the top 10% in production. Before Tom became successful in the real estate market, he attended the University of Alabama, where he excelled. He served his country, a lieutenant in the U.S. Army, worked for a mortgage banking company, and secured his real estate license. Along the way, he met Carolyn. The Wests have been married 58 years. Tom West is a distinguished realtor and businessman. His company has been named Best of the Wiregrass 18 times. He's past president of the Homeowners Association of Dothan, honored as Realtor of the Year, and in 1989, recognized by the Dothan Area Chamber of Commerce as its Small Business Person of the Year. Mr. West is a former president of the Dothan Rotary Club that bestowed upon him its highest award, the Paul Harris Fellow. He's active in Wiregrass Rehabilitation Center, United Way, and Troy University's Business Advisory Panel. Tom has been a director of 2 banks. He's also a deacon, elder, and trustee of First Presbyterian Church. He's an avid runner, having participated in many marathons. Tom West has competitively run 25,000 miles, probably believing he could find a soul sign at the finish line. Mr. West fondly remembers 1996. That's when he carried the Olympic torch. Tom and Carolyn West had 3 children, one of whom is no longer with us. They are proud parents of Kara Dennis and Amy Button. Both of their husbands are integral parts of Tom West Company. The Wests also have 8 grandchildren. In 2011, the Home Builders Association inducted Tom West into the Home Builders Hall of Fame. Tonight, he rightly joins the Business Hall of Fame.
One of the things I'm proud of Tom for is being in business in our community for 50 years now, and just his perseverance in that. Tom has been an active member of the Chamber of Commerce for a very, very long time. Tom has been active in this community, and his family has, and his roots here, and he's very proud of that. Tom's proud of his family. Tom's very proud of his work family that we have here at Tom West Company, and of course, extremely proud of his church and his faith in Christ. And so those are some things that we're very proud of with Tom and some of that he's accomplished. And one of the things that Tom has said to us many times is that the harder you work, the luckier you get. And so he is a man that works very hard and always does a very good job in looking after his customers and clients, and he respects them and appreciates them in a very, very sincere way. And so we're just very proud of him for taking those virtues and making them a part of his business for so many years. If I could, I would like to present a journal entry from my daughter, Tom's granddaughter, that captures a little bit of the essence of Tom and how much he means to us, and ideally what he also would mean to our community. And she writes, "Today I'm reflecting on several things, but one being Granddaddy Tom. He is a cancer survivor, earthquake survivor, a giver, world traveler, runner, provider, protector, hard worker, and adventurer. These are some of the things that come to my mind when I think about Granddaddy Tom. But pretty much this guy is a champion, and I'm especially thankful for him always. I'm particularly proud of him today because this marks the 1-year anniversary of his cancer surgery. He said he may not be completely out of the woods yet, but he is doing well. Whether he knows it or not, Granddaddy Tom teaches me the life lessons of kindness, determination, and perseverance every single day. I look up to him more than he'll ever know." I do think Tom is a quiet leader, but yet his actions speak so much greater than his words. but at the same time extremely smart, extremely intelligent, extremely wise. And so as this community has grown and as our company has grown, his wisdom has been one of the great attributes of this company. He has been able to pour that into all of us as he continues to care about education, but also care about each of us. I think Tom cares so deeply for his family, for maybe the roots that he has with his own family. His family has deep roots into Dothan and our community here for many, many, many years. And so, so he's grown to love this community, and he loves the families that are in there, and so therefore he loves his own as well. Tom is just someone who, again, is quiet, but yet very determined, and so his love for his family permeates through them, and so they feel that love, and so they feel the acceptance, and they feel the encouragement he gives. And I believe that he takes that and pushes that through the business model here at Tom West Company as well. Another very exciting part of Tom West Company is that it is a small family-owned business that has been very successful over these years. It provides high-quality service, but one of the things that we're especially proud of is that Tom runs the company, but he also has me, his son-in-law. Charles Mutton is another son-in-law that also works in the company, and we now have his grandson, Jackson Dennis, working here with the company, and so we are very proud of that, and so we expect Tom West Company to be a family-owned business for many, many, many years. I would just like to tell Tom how much I love him and how much I appreciate him. He means a great deal to me, and I'm very proud of him.
Granddaddy Tom, how about come joining us on the stage?
Wow, thank you, Mark. No notes, no glasses, thanks to the Here Saints. I'm very honored to be here. I'm very humbled to be here. When I look at all the previous recipients, I've known all of them. I don't know what the selection committee was thinking to put me up here, but I am very appreciative of it. I have always been very proud when people ask me my background to tell them that I have lived in Dothan, Alabama all my life, other than college and the Army and a good bit of traveling. My family, Carolyn's family, our grandparents on both sides had deep roots in the wiregrass, and we're just very fortunate we could come back to Dothan. My journey finished in the Dothan High class of 1957. Nobody ever particularly said, gosh, that's an outstanding class, but when I look back at it, these are the people I grew up with. The class had 144 people. We were one of the last small classes because we were the children of 1938, 39, parents that grew up really in the Depression. When I look at there were 71 boys in that class. There were 6 medical doctors in that class. One of them also played football at the University of Alabama and was a permanent captain of one of Coach Bryant's first team. There were 2 rocket scientists, 2 college professors, pharmacists. Several of us did pretty well in business. The smartest boy in the class went to the Naval Academy, finished in the top 10%, then went to Duke and got a master's in nuclear engineering. That's kind of the people I grew up with. Mike, the problem, though, was none of those people came back to Dothan. Back then, jobs just weren't in Dothan, and they scattered all over the place. For people like myself to come back to Dothan, you either had to have a family business to come back to, or you had to have initials behind your name, MD, or so forth, because it was hard to come back to Dothan. Went to the University of Alabama, graduated, majored in finance. Thought I wanted to follow my daddy and my granddaddy into banking. Women think of glass ceilings, so Birmingham banks had had a different kind of ceilings, $400. That's $400 a month now. It wasn't $400 a week. Liberty National offered me $450 to come to work in their investment department after my 6 months military obligation as ROTC second lieutenant. Carol and I were married, young married couple, went to Petersburg, Virginia, to Fort Lee. I know all of you are familiar with the great American philosopher, Yogi Berra. One of Yogi Berra's famous statements was, when you meet a fork in the road, you take it. Carol and I had two major forks in the road that were really life-changing events. We had been in the Army about a month. Khrushchev built the Berlin Wall. President Kennedy extended all of us that were already in for an extra year. I contacted Liberty National, and they said they would hold the job for me if we would commit at the end of what would have been about 16 or 17 months. Carol and I prayed about it, thought about it, and I think maybe Dothan was calling then. We told them, no, we're going to do something else rather than move to Birmingham. Army sent us to Atlanta, and we stayed there 16 months. During that period of time, there was a mortgage banking company in Birmingham, W.B. Leedy & Company, who was considering opening an office in Dothan. They were scouting around Dothan, and somebody mentioned my name. They contacted me, interviewed with them, accepted the job when I got out of the Army, and we made it back to Dothan. Started the job, well, I didn't know much, but I studied hard, worked hard, covered an area from Blakely to Fort Walton, Panama City to Troy, calling on realtors, home builders, individuals, conventional FHA and VA loans. During that period of time, I got my real estate license because I didn't know where I was going to be. Business had been good, gone good. It stayed with them 6 years. I got a call from my boss. I remember the date, it was second week of February 1969. Carolyn was in the hospital, had just had her third C-section, giving birth to Amy Bunton. And I got a call from my boss that Mr. Beach, that owns the company, is concerned. Interest rates had been going up. Alabama had a law that said it was illegal to make a loan of over 8%, and we were at 8%. It was generally thought that the mortgage home loans were immune from that, but Mr. Beach said, we're not going to make any loans till the Alabama legislature clarifies the law. Carol had never really forgiven me, but I was in Birmingham early the next day and resigned my position because I had worked too dadgum hard to get that business to tell folks, don't call us, we'll call you. I did tie up some money, went back to Dothan. What am I going to do now? I went into a partnership with Don Pierce, older realtor, who taught me so much back then because I didn't, as far as general real estate, I didn't know much. We developed our first subdivision, built the first home we were involved in, listed homes, sold homes. After about 6 years, Don retired in 1976, and we continued as Tom West Company. Dan Morris has been with me this whole time. We've had a handshake partnership agreement that's lasted over 45 years, and I rely on him, and he's my buddy and keeps me straight and so forth. Been fortunate to have a very good support staff, good realtors. Mark Dennis came in with me during that time, later Charles Bunton, and now, as Mark said, I've got a grandson in there, and just really have been fortunate to see Dothan grow from less than 30,000 people to somewhere close to 70,000 now. Biggest thing for me and Carolyn is we've seen 8 grandkids grow up here. We've been to the dance recitals, we've been to the ball games, we've followed them, and we have loved doing it, and it's just special having them here and doing what we do. Want to make note to lots of people, we had 2 bumps in the road that we were not happy with. The extension in the Army really changed our lives where we would have grown up. The Alabama law that made me change jobs. But, you know, when you hit a bump in the road, if you persevere and stay after it, you can succeed and work. I look at my passions, my family, First Presbyterian Church, Dothan Rotary, Wiregrass Rehab, my running group, the beach, University of Alabama, and I am just so thankful that we've had the life we had, and I say thank you to the Chamber also. Thank you.
Please join me again in congratulating all of our inductees. Before we close, I'd like to ask all of our honorees if they'll remain at their tables with their families so that we can get some pictures immediately after the event. And gentlemen, we'd just like to say thank you for sharing your stories, not only to you, but also to your families for being here tonight, and certainly for sharing your gifts and your talents with us and the difference that you've made in our community. We're a better community because of each of you. Thank you. To everyone else, thank you for sharing your time with us tonight and for being here, and our meeting stands adjourned.